Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about help keeping your tools last a little longer, or your parts or whatever, by helping them not rust. And if they are rusted, a really easy way to kind of save them a little bit. So it should be a good video. It's really helpful. It's something that I've used over and over again just to help me out. So I just wanted to share a really simple thing where you don't even have to go out and buy anything necessarily. So one thing that is annoying is when a tool or a part rusts. So you can see I got this bolt as an example, some good surface rust on there. The head of the bolt is fine, but it started to rust everywhere else. I also found this really old little bolt that has some good rust on it as well, you guys can see. And then this pair of locking vice grips, you can see that it also has some surface rust. So a lot of times when a tool or something gets rusty, people just throw them out. But I don't really think that that should be the case. It's a pretty simple fix. And like I said, you probably have the tools to do it at home possibly already. And the first thing that I like to do is get white vinegar. So you can buy a anti-rusting agent that will take the rust off of metal anyways, but you have to go to the store, and it's a specialty-ish thing, so maybe they have it at the hardware store. It might be a little expensive. You know, it's gonna work, but what I have found in doing research and testing myself is white vinegar also works awesome. So basically you can see I threw these tool guys in this little bowl I got. All I'm gonna do is cover them and then wait. Typically they say the best amount of time to wait is probably 4 to 6 hours for that vinegar to start working. And then after you do that, it's really up to you how you want to continue. You can just wipe them off and it'll actually take off. If it's just really high level surface rust, just wiping it off with a paper towel is gonna take off most of it. But in my two examples, maybe the head of that bolt, I could get the rust off, but in between the threads, it's really not gonna work that well. It's gonna be a little difficult. So that is where some type of metal wire brush comes in handy. I have this one. I got it at the Dollar Tree. So it is very cheap, but you can work and start scrubbing it that way. The next step up from that would be I have a little attachment for my drill, and then this would help. It'll be faster, and then sometimes you can get to some hard to reach places, so that is good. And then for big sweeping areas, especially like this side right here, what I would always go to is a wire wheel on the bench grinder. That is definitely going to be the quickest way to take off the rust. But what I will say is soaking it in vinegar first helps a lot. So while these two bolts are soaking, let's work on those pair of vice grips without using any vinegar at all, and we'll see how far we get. So first off, I'm going to use just this wire brush, and this is what it looks like ahead of time. I'm just gonna work on this one section. So in 5 seconds of scrubbing, you can see a lot of that surface rust already came off. The littlest amount of effort at all already took it off. So if I switch over to this guy, this one doesn't work super great. This specific bit I have, but wire wheels on drills, especially if you get a corded drill, works really good. So this is a really slow drill, and let's see what it does. So I tried it in some key areas. In some places like this, it actually took it off great. Other places, not so much, but that definitely helps a lot. The problem is that you don't get a lot of pressure with this. If I'd have to clamp this in my vise and then really go at it to get it to work. But now we're gonna move over to the wire wheel and see what it does. And keep in mind, this is still without using any vinegar on this at all. My normal process would be soak in vinegar for a few hours, wipe it off, and then go through with my bench grinder and polish it up. So look at this side. I'm gonna try some of that stuff as well, and let's see what we get. So you guys can see, I didn't speed this up at almost at all. I've literally been filming this video for about 5 minutes, and that is already what it looks like. You can see it took off almost everything on this side. On this one, it took it off. This side was super dirty, and it's already starting to dig into it. This handle, I showed you guys how there was a lot of surface rust on it, and it cleaned almost all of it off. And that was really only 2 minutes worth of work. So that's why I don't like throwing away old tools or giving them away just because they might have a little bit of surface rust. It's really not that hard to get rid of it. Let's see here. This pair of pliers that I have was covered head to toe in rust. And so this was a first pair that I really just tried that wire wheel on, and it worked, as you can see, pretty well. There's no visible rust anywhere on the surface, on the edges. It is harder with this specific tool to get inside all these crevices, but even these jaws inside were rusty. Now they don't have anything on them. So you guys can see that it works great for that. Usually after I'm done, I'll wipe a little bit of like WD-40 or either grease or some kind of oil-based lubricant on them. That just helps kind of coat the tool and prevent it from rusting in the future again. But I mean, even if you have a spot on a tool that keeps rusting like that, all you have to do is just quickly brush it off. If you spend even 10 minutes, which is longer than this whole video so far, you can get a tool looking brand new. So I'm not even gonna cut this. I'm just gonna show you guys. These have been soaking in here maybe 7 minutes. I'm not sure exactly, but probably 7 minutes. So I'm going to take them out, and we are going to see how they clean up. So the first thing is I'll grab a paper towel. This one's still pretty bad. I doubt the rust is gonna be visibly noticeable in this, yeah. So you can see on the edges, the metal is starting to come back through just from 5 minutes and wiping it with a paper towel. That's pretty impressive. This one, I don't know, let's see. Like I said, threads are really hard to clean. I don't see any noticeable difference on this one yet. But one of the proof is that you can just see the paper towel has a slight reddish brown to it, and that means that it is taking something off. So let me clamp these up into the vise grips, and we'll wire wheel them really fast and then see how it goes. Okay, so once again, didn't cut the video at all. That was 30 seconds worth of work, and look, all the rust is gone. Now I just clamp it down here, I'd finish up this area, but that is all it takes. Let's really quickly just kind of do the tip of this. Like I said, you can see how rusty that looks. I don't recommend usually clamping on threads, but this is just an example piece. It's not something I'm probably ever going to use for a project. I just kept it just so I could show you guys this. So got it clamped in. Okay, so that was, I mean, you guys know, 10 seconds. Almost all of it's gone. There's a little more on the head there, which I can just really quickly. Look at that. So another 15 seconds and this thing is shiny and new. Wow, I actually did not expect it to come out that clean. So that was 5 minutes in the cleaning wheel. And if you have a buffing wheel like this, depending on what quality you want it to look like, is you can actually buff this up. All right, another 10 seconds, and look at that. I actually did not expect this to come out that well. You saw what it looked like before, just absolutely rusty. Most people would have thrown that bolt out, but that is all it took. Like I said, this entire video I've been out in the garage like 10 minutes. And that is already the quality that we're looking at here. So it's really as easy as that. That was the bare minimum. The vinegar probably didn't even have time to work at that point. So imagine you have a big tool that you let soak for, like I said, 5-6 hours, and then you wipe it down really good. You come out with the wire wheel, or even at that point the brush, and start scrubbing it. It's gonna come up looking really good. You guys can tell by that. I did want to show off one little project that I did. So my grandma passed away about a month and a half ago. And one thing we got from her house, which I remember from as a little kid, was this old iron. And this old iron had a ton of surface rust on it. I looked it up, and this iron was made before 1900 most likely. So tons of surface rust on it. And I basically did exactly what I just showed you guys. On this piece, I didn't even use vinegar. I just used the buffing wheel and the wire wheel and cleaned it up. You guys can see it's nice and shiny. All surface rust in the handle is all gone. And then this big chunky piece of cast iron was really dark. The whole top of it was rusted. And so I soaked these in vinegar for a couple hours, and then just took the wire wheel to it, and you guys can see it looks absolutely awesome. Let me see this. So you can see the big flat bottom, and then when I was done, like I mentioned, I actually just sprayed some WD-40 on it and just kind of coated it so that it would protect it. So that is a piece that's a good example. I wish I'd taken a picture of it from before. Actually, I think I have a picture, so if I can find it, I will put it in this video so you guys can see it. But yeah, it was that easy. That was a fun project for me just to try. But I've done this with a ton of tools now, a lot of wrenches, and just, you know, little things like that, pliers, anything that looks like it's bad probably isn't. Most rust takes a long time to actually eat into tool grade steel and iron and everything, so there's usually a ton of life left in tools. It just takes a little bit of care, and then once you get that rust off, it's really easy to keep it up, maintain it. Just wipe them down every time you're done using them. Make sure there's no water on them. If there is, let them dry. Spray some WD-40 or something on it. Any general purpose grease, especially on threads of bolts and stuff, and in the joints of pliers. Using grease will help prevent moisture and everything. So pretty quick, pretty easy. Like I said, this actually went a lot easier than I thought it was going to. But that is all I have for you guys. Like I said, give your old tools some love. Spend an afternoon cleaning up all your tools, and you won't have to do it again for a long time. So that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.